I ended up getting picked up by police a second time for making fake identification. And I got off of that on merit, meaning that the officer was like, if you show me how you did this, I will let you go. Like, the biggest mistake most agents make is coming into real estate. I was so upset that the average family was trusting somebody they met at a barbecue with their biggest piece of family business, and that person was letting them down. Those families are trying to deliver 18 summers to those kids, and if you're not going to take care of them, I'm going to take care of you. That's what pulled me into real estate. I came over the fence knowing that every time in my market that I sold 6 houses, I was going to put somebody out of business, and I wanted to put them all out of business.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Glennda's Guru. My name is Glennda Baker, and I'm a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia. And you guys know I'm typically pretty excited about this stuff. I mean, the people that I have on Glennda's Guru, in my head, in my heart, and for the most part in the real estate industry, they truly are gurus of our industry. But today, y'all are going to die because I have Taylor Hack. Now, y'all, Taylor and I have never, ever met in person. I was on his podcast. Taylor, how long ago has it been since I was on your podcast?
I think that was in 2020, maybe near the end of 2020.
Oh, my stars and stripes. Taylor and I met on Clubhouse, y'all. And I got to tell you, he is probably one of the most strategic minds I have ever met in my life. Taylor has thought through the nuances, the critical steps, the sequencing of the events, the first, second, and third order of everything he does. And why I'm so excited today is because I am going to ask him some questions about tactical and practical ways to better your business, increase your business, but really build a sustainable real estate business. And to me, that's what Taylor Hack brings to the table. Taylor Hack, welcome, my friend, to Glennda's Guru.
Man, thanks for having me, Glennda. This is amazing, and that is incredibly high praise. So thank you so much. I've so enjoyed our time. We laugh so often together. That's like the biggest thing. I like it when the room breaks, when we're chatting with a group of people. And what an odd kind of situation to come out of this like one-hit wonder social media, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
You think about it. I mean, Taylor, I did not know you from Adam's House Cat, number one. Number two, I probably would have never met you in my life had it not been for Clubhouse during the pandemic. And we would get on there every evening and talk about real estate. And now, and I bet most people don't realize, we still get to talk to each other every Wednesday because you are one of the moderators in the Real Estate Morning Show that Ginger and I host every Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Now, wait a minute. Before I go any further, stop. Taylor, for the people who don't know you, tell everybody a little bit about you. I mean, I could brag on you all day long, but give the people a little synopsis of who you are, where you are, and all that good stuff.
Okay. I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, which is in the Great White North. It's actually pretty much the furthest north you'll find over 1 million people in one place in the world. Kind of a different situation that way. It feels like the little Texas of Canada, like hardworking farm folk in the oil industry. And really, I think that a lot of people find that my story starts when I get in trouble. Like as a young person, I was too young to get arrested the first time I got arrested. And I just like, I I had some plans. I didn't know what to do. There wasn't things that were available to me as a kid. Like I couldn't entrepreneur like I did now, but man, did I had some ideas, you know? And so that pushed me out of high school. I just could not stick inside the lines well enough. Ended up having me move out of my parents' house very young and mostly hang out with people that boosted cars. I ended up getting picked up by police a second time for making fake identification. And I got off of that on merit, meaning that the officer was like, if you show me how you did this, I will let you go. And I was like, okay. So I helped him with that. And then I just didn't know what to do. I was stuck. I thought I was going to dig ditches. I thought this was where this was going. I was so threatened by the people around me that went to university and all this other things. And I was delivering appliances. I had to carry fridges over fences sometimes. But I saw those salespeople in the showroom. I saw them complain about having to clean the machines in the showroom. And I wanted their problems so bad, you know? And so that's kind of what ended up taking place. Once I got onto a sales floor and saw that it was a meritocracy, I saw that, like, if you win, it doesn't matter who's been here longer. It doesn't matter anything like that. I just started putting it together, and I outsold everybody in my little appliance shop in a few months, to the point where the sales manager took me out back and said, "We can't give you any more money. I make $40,000." And I was like, I quit. And so I had to go and find this like next step. And that was into the car industry. And people warned me about that. They said, man, the car industry is so sharky. You're 18 years old. One, nobody's going to hire you. And even if they did, these kind of established salespeople are basically going to screw you. And I said, well, you know, I kind of feel like there's been a few people trying to screw me already, so I'm good to give this a shot. And I went in, and as a young person, I made it to the top of the sales charts at a Toyota dealership, and then got to talk to them about working with Lexus. And at the time I left, I had a job offer to be one of the youngest Lexus management in Canada. But instead, I ended up going to do mortgages. I did mortgages for too long. I did mortgages for 8 years, and I should have been through it in a few years. That was kind of something that I look back on, and I'm like, I was on the way here. I should have known I was on the way here. I should have known that that was the very edge of my skill set, and this kind of plays to the middle. But I stuck around there until I was so frustrated with real estate agents. As a mortgage person looking over the fence, I really was jaded. I was so upset that the average family was trusting somebody they met at a barbecue with their biggest piece of family business, and that person was letting them down. That person didn't do training and negotiations. They didn't understand all of these things about the market, and they were just hanging out with these people while they did business, and their mistakes would be tens of thousands of dollars. Those families are trying to deliver 18 summers to those kids, and if you're not going to take care of them, I'm going to take care of you. That's what pulled me into real estate. I came over the fence knowing that every time in my market that I sold 6 houses, I was going to put somebody out of business. And I wanted to put them all out of business.
Oh my gosh. You know, I mean, Taylor, I've heard bits and pieces of that story, but I have never, ever heard it in the sequence of events of which it happened. And I have so many questions. Oh, my stars and stripes. So it's super interesting to me that you got in trouble off the bat and you were boosting cars. I love that, because that's not really an easy thing to do, is to boost a car. So it shows me that you had like no fear.
I think by the time there was people around me that was stealing cars. So for me, I've definitely been in stolen cars, and I guess taking cars without people's permission, but not the same as like hot wiring a car. But the thing is like you'd get into a vehicle with like 3 other people, and when you were the new guy and they knew that you were a bit naive, you'd be like, wow, this is a nice ride. Whose car is this? And like 3 unrelated people would be like, it's my uncle's. Like one of
I
these two
love it.
things
I love
can't be
it.
true.
So, but one thing that people should realize off the bat is number one, you are a hustler. Number two, you are an observer. And number three, you have this heart at the core of what is it? Not your desire, but at the core, what compels you and what compelled you into real estate was seeing that people were not getting the best real estate agent. You were in the front row, you were on the front line watching these people not getting the best for what was something so significant in their life, whether it was their largest single asset or what you just said that almost made my heart like come out of my body was 18 summers. And I was just like, that maybe that is what connects me and you is this barely got out of high school, didn't color in between the lines, that the significance of the real estate transaction is not that it's just a transaction, it's where people do life.
That's something that I also noticed with you is how well you read people. So I think that part of my story was understanding sales as a martial art. And what I mean by that is that being able to connect to people. So if we were to break it down and say, like, what makes an amazing salesperson? I would say it's someone who has the ability to get to know you at a very deep level right away, and then bridge the gap between your understanding and being an expert in something specific. So when you do your job at a level of mastery, those people end up buying a house that they wouldn't have understand how they wanted it. You know, you help them beyond their understanding. And that's why I kind of see it as a martial art, because you can use that to steal people's money, right? Like when I was young, I didn't understand how to be inside the lines. But as soon as I got that, I realized that there are people that are stealing people's money directly. Like even here in real estate, there are agents that are great at helping people, and there are agents that are great at finding people to help. And they're a different crowd.
Yeah. And you know, I think Taylor, one thing that you do so well, and I get to see you do it every week, is your ability to break down a strategy, break down the listing process, break down the buyer process, break down the showing process into pieces and sequences and explain them in a way that the everyday real estate agent can walk away and apply them to their business that very second.
That's something I actually had to work on. Like when I first started as a public speaker, and this is something that you and I have in common. Like I can't wait to see you on a stage because it's you're gifted. You can really grip people, and the way they connect to you at a distance. That's something that I see. You know, as somebody who's a trained speaker, I want to light the spark in those seats, right? I want those people to feel itchy about going to do this right now. I'm not really a how-to guy, but what I like to do is to learn very advanced things and then deliver them at levels that make it accessible. Because a lot of things that are advanced, people that should be interested in them, they're not interested in them because they're not accessible. They feel too daunting. And so instead, when you take a look at some people that are real masters at their craft, like Stephen Hawking's, he explained Einstein's theory of relativity like two people playing catch on a train, and it's beautiful, right? It makes it available to everyone. And that's something that I'm kind of passionate about, because I feel that there's a lot of people out there that do want to do well, but they just don't see it the same way. They're not able to break it down and execute.
Oh, that's so, and yeah, they aren't able to break it down into bite-sized pieces and execute on it. Because you're exactly right. They're overwhelmed by the big picture of it, and they have no idea how to sequence the events. In my opinion, it's not only breaking it down into the bite-sized pieces, but the sequencing of the events is critical to the success.
Oh man, that's so often overlooked. Like imagine dialing your best friend's phone number in any other order. Will you get the same result?
I just love you, Taylor. I can't believe you just said that. It's so true. Like I know Rebecca Holland's number from second grade, but if I dial it in any other sequence, I'm not going to get Rebecca Holland.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And look at how many times we see people take a strategy and they do the most common thing that humans make mistakes on. Like we all seem to know what deja vu is. And deja vu is seeing something that is the same as something you've seen before. That rarely happens. Like people describe it as something that happens just a few times that they can recall in their life. However, what's screwing them every day is vuja day. Order of operation changed. So you see something happen, you assume that it's similar enough to another situation you've been in. You take the same action and get an unpredictable result. That is the actual danger, and we don't really have a phrase for it.
What you teach people to do and what you help people do every single day is how to break it down, how to sequence it out properly, how to do it over and over and over again to build a sustainable business. And that really is in my opinion, one of your superpowers.
Well, thanks so much. I want to play that back to you because when you think about like starting out, there's a few things that were key to where you are now. Like you, through time, had to develop a pretty good decision process. And most of us develop a stronger decision process because we fail, right? Like we have like not good experiences. But when you think about how you make decisions now, is there anything that you see as being this like pre-flight checklist or maybe something where you have a few rules, like things like this I think about for longer?
Well, you know me, I'm a creature of habit. And I have my pre-flight rules. And this is the scariest thing, is I almost can't operate without them. I've gotten to a point now where I've been able to duplicate the success. And it's very much like the flight. You can see where it's getting off track. If you didn't come out of the cockpit, go down, check in all the wheels, check on all of the wings. And that's one thing is I know when I take the shortcut, it's almost a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. See, I see it as like that fundamental movement in so many sports, right? Like as a tennis player, that forehand swing, the more you make that like just the same movement, and with tennis, I think that's a lot about not rushing it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the same thing. I do OODA loops. It's a fighter pilot thing. It's observe, orient, decide, and act.
So, Taylor, it was so funny. About 3 minutes ago, I was like looking in my desk for like a pen because I wanted to take notes. Because when we do our room on Wednesday morning, a lot of times when you talk, I take notes just to make sure that I didn't miss something, that I understood it properly, that I can go back and I can reference it. And it didn't occur to me that this is my podcast. Like I have the tape. I'm literally like looking here and I'm like, oh my God, I got to find my pen. Where's my pen? And I'm like, hello, Glennda Baker. This is your podcast.
That's so funny.
But that's the thing is like everything you say is noteworthy. And I got to tell you this, and I hope you don't take it the wrong way. I remember the first time I heard you speak in a clubhouse room in real estate networking. I was like, who is this guy? Like, you are so fundamentally sound with your business that it just rolls off your tongue. It just comes out so naturally. I almost didn't think you were real.
Glennda,
And I was like, who is he? Like, is he really real? Like, come on, this guy must be bullshit. And then I was like, oh my gosh, he's the real deal. What is the biggest mistake that you see real estate agents make today?
I'm going to hit that, but a couple other things.
Yes.
So on Clubhouse, I had the same situation, roles reversed. The way that you touch people is like amazing. And I think everybody in that environment, like in most social media environments, has their like suspect glasses on.
Yeah.
Right. That's the one thing I really like about Clubhouse is that you have to be able to go like 3 or 4 questions deep. It totally filters out the phonies.
Yeah. 100%.
But when we see like issues that real estate agents make, it kind of depends on their level. Like the biggest mistake most agents make is coming into real estate. Like if you're talking about like the first 2 years, right? It's sad. But like watching National Geographic, it's like the little turtles that are scooting across the beach and those like seagulls are just picking them off. And it's, you guys should have seen this coming. Like you're not turtles that just came out of the ground. You got the internet. You got a few people that you could go interview and talk to. But most of you dudes are going to end up eaten by seagulls.
Taylor, this is such a great short form video right here. This is going to get picked up like nobody's business. What's the biggest mistake that most real estate agents make? Getting in the business.
Oh, they should know. Like it's so dangerous, and they just don't even get it. Like where I play, or like where I am, hockey is something that's really people are into, and there's so many people that don't know how to skate, right? And imagine that becoming a real estate agent is like learning how to skate. So you're sitting on the side of this ice surface and you're doing up your laces. Now the Stanley Cup playoffs just finished. And in that is somebody named Connor McDavid that is arguably the best player that's ever stepped on a sheet of ice. And the crazy thing is that in real estate, there's a Glennda Baker out there that's going to take your lunch. Like Glennda Baker is considered to be one of the top agents out there. And you're going to be like tying your skates for the first time. And then you get on the surface and play against her in your first game. Like this is not going to go as planned. You know? And then on the other side of it, real estate isn't a short game like or a short career cycle like hockey, where like 10 years is like lots. Here, it would be like Wayne Gretzky still plays. You know, there's so many things that have it's treacherous. And a lot of people don't see that on the way in. But I really see like once you get past the test of that second, third year agent. So that test, the way I see it in my mind, is that you had to basically get enough boost from your sphere. You had to be like somebody that people would trust with stuff like this and relationships that mattered. That normally funds your first couple of years in real estate is the people around you. But if you cannot inspire the confidence of strangers at the first meeting in year 3, it's over. So that's where we also see this big drop off. Is all my friends that are going to buy houses have bought houses. And now I'm trying to meet new people, but they can see that I don't have any skills. I can't get 3 questions deep. And then they drop off.
If you cannot inspire the confidence of strangers by year 3.
In the first meeting.
If you cannot inspire the confidence of strangers in the first meeting by year 3, you're not going to make it. OMS. You know, I never thought about that. I honestly, like, I'm just sitting here kind of Rolodexing in my head and thinking to myself, I never thought about my own ability to inspire confidence in strangers. And I think a lot of that has to do with I honestly believe I'm the best. And I remember I was asked a question on a panel a couple of months ago. And somebody asked the question, what makes you a great real estate agent? And I'm sitting up here with the number one, like the real number one agent in Atlanta, and another super duper top agent, and another really great real estate agent. And I never thought twice when I responded and said, I honestly believe that I am the best real estate agent. I am the best choice for anybody who wants to buy or sell real estate in Atlanta, Georgia. And I remember the room gasp. There was this audible gasp because I think, number one, they weren't prepared for that answer. But I think the majority of people couldn't believe that I absolutely believed that deeply in myself.
We're starting to see this trend come up of people making these bold statements and then saying the words, fight me. And that's what I see in this, where you say, anybody choosing to buy or sell right now, I am the best. I am at the top of my game, and my game is unmatched. Fight me.
Yeah. I mean, I have to tell you, I really feel like I'm at that place where I am invincible. I am unbeatable. And I don't think I'm at a peak because I'm so thirsty for the knowledge. I'm so curious how to get better. Like I don't say I'm the best and I think, oh, I know everything. I think I'm the best and I'm getting better. And I think that's such a cool place to be in my career, in your career. I think that getting to that point where you have that level of confidence, there's no other way but for it to translate to the other person.
So this is so different than the false confidence we see from those people that are fake it until you make it. A lot of people don't understand that confidence is rooted in understanding. So those people that feel imposter syndrome, what they're normally feeling is that they're out of their depth, is that the situation they're in is beyond or at the edge of their understanding. So they might have felt like they were very confident because they were in a shallow pool. And then they step into the depth and it changes. But confidence also doesn't necessarily mean that someone is overconfident or the negatives associated with confidence, like arrogance. Like if you've got it and you can back it up, people should know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm enthusiastic about my product. Like I am my product. I am selling myself and I'm enthusiastic about that. One thing you talked about was that you sold appliances and that the manager took you out back and said, hey, I'm making 40 grand. You're not making more than me. And it was so funny. I'll never, ever forget this as long as I live. I was selling ladies' shoes. I was working part-time, Tuesday and Thursday, 6 to 9, and Saturday, 9 to 6. And I was selling more shoes than anybody else in the shoe department. And the manager takes me aside and he says, Glennda, he goes, we've got a real problem. Everybody thinks that you are cheating the system. Now, I don't even know how to cheat the system. Keep in mind, I'm 16. It's my first job. I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground. And he said, you have more multiple sales than anybody else. And he said, how are you doing that? And I said, well, Mr. Harold, if the shoe fits, my mother says you should buy it in every color. And that's what I've been telling people.
Woo! Oh, that's so good.
And he said to me, he goes, "You're joking, right?" I'm like, "No, sir." I said, "So if we have a 7.5 in black, I just take them a 7.5 in every single color. And if the shoe fits, I tell them they ought to buy it in every color." And no lie, I was making more money than anybody else. I was selling more shoes. And rather than promoting me, they thought that I was gaming the system.
Yeah, it's
So-
funny how people look at that. I love
Yeah.
those sales stories. Like, I remember walking into I was like 18 years old, and everybody's probably really annoyed with me. Like, you were asking me about how I learned to package language. That's because, like, the first half of my life, everybody was done listening before I was done talking. Right? Like, I so desperately wanted attention. I just wanted somebody to listen to me.
They were done listening before I was done talking, so I had to figure out a better way to package that shit.
Totally. Yeah. Like, you know, how you talked about you or your product. Well, you have to level up your product, you know, like it had to change over time. So
my God.
I was in this dealership, and nobody even knew why the owner or why the sales manager had hired me. This guy who's amazing. His name is Lincoln, and he was like so meaningful to me. It's probably who I am as a mentor now is based on a few of these people that like poured into me. And so this guy, like in the interview, he's like, "Do you live with your parents?" He like told me, he's like, "I'm going to ask you a few questions that I'm not supposed to ask you." And I'm like, "Okay." He says, "Do you live with your parents?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Do you have a car?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "What does this mean?" He's like, "I got to go to the back and explain to the owner why I'm hiring an 18-year-old. And he's going to think that you came here because you thought we'd give you a car. And he's going to think that you don't need to make any money because you live with your parents." And I'm like, "That's fair." And he said, "But I'm going to tell him that I haven't seen any 40-year-old follow up on cars the way that you followed up with me to get this job. And that's what's going to kind of make it happen." So then I think it's like 3 weeks later, and I am now itching because he's making me drive all the cars so I get to know him. And I'm dying for a Celica. Like, I drove a car that had a manual choke, you know? Like, I had this horrible, awful little crappy car. And I just wanted to meet some girls, you know? Like, nobody talks to somebody who has a manual choke in their car. And so I wanted a Celica. And this guy said, "Well, you know, if you sell a car this Saturday, I think you might be able to take it." And that was when I was with him by myself, but being an idiot. Then when he was surrounded by established salespeople, I was like, "Yeah." And Lincoln said that I get a Celica today if I sell a car. And like the room just goes cold. And these guys all look over at me. And then Lincoln is also super embarrassed. And he's like, "3 cars. You got to sell 3 cars." And he walks away. And most of those salespeople at that time were selling, like, if you were really good, like 8 or 9 cars a month. By 2 p.m., I had 3 sales slips. And I was like, "Can I take the black one?" And he was just like mind blown. I lived in that car that weekend, Glenda. Like, I probably put like over 1,000 kilometers on that car in a weekend. Like, I lived in it.
You know what? What I love about you is it's like dangle a little carrot in front of me and I'll be a good little bunny. I love it because you visualize, you see what you want, and you figure out how to get it. You figure out how to execute on it. And every week when we're in Clubhouse and you're talking to these agents and somebody's coming to us with a problem, you literally are regurgitating it back to them in pieces of either where they made the mistake, how they could have done better, or where was their success in the story. And I love it. So, Taylor, what gets you excited? How long have you been in real estate? You've been in real estate 10 years?
Yeah.
And aren't you like number 2?
No, I'm in the top 2% in the world for my brand. And
there's like a zillion in your brand.
yeah, it's not one of the little ones. But
I'm in the top 2%. You got to love the real estate agent that says, "I'm in the top 10 of my brand, and there's only 10 agents in their brokerage. I'm sorry. That was terrible. I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was like so when I came into real estate, that was like as soon as I got in and I saw what was possible, like I don't think that anybody saw the monster inside me. Like I wanted it so bad, and I was just willing to do what other people weren't willing to do. And so it went really fast. Like in my first year, I wanted to try to sell 24 houses. I thought as like a salesperson, I could do 2 a month out of the gate. And then I sold 24 houses by the end of June, and I had a lot more months left. So I said, okay, well, if I hit my goal, I'm going to get a coach at the end of my first year. And people around me were like, what the hell do you need a coach for, man? Like things are going really well for you. And I said, yeah, but I feel as though everybody I want to be has coaches. I don't think they're wrong. I need to get into that position and see what that is like. So in my 11th month, I got a coach who was just as flabbergasted that I came in as well. He's like, I've looked after a brokerage with over 250 agents. Like, this is really good that you're deciding to do this. I'm really excited to see what we can do. And so it was from when I opened my doors to 32 months in real estate. That's when I had made over $1 million. It just went really fast.
My star. But don't you love it? Are you as excited about real estate today as you were 10 years ago?
In different ways. At that point, like the reason that I like to mentor now and the reason that I value those key mentors in my life is that I was too much work to pour into when I was a kid. Like I lacked mentorship. Probably was a hard friend to have. Those types of things were where my challenges were. And so when I came into real estate, a lot of it was just my own self-worth. Like I just wanted to say I was worthwhile. And so I pushed really hard. And then I realized that didn't change that feeling. And I've met a lot of the top producers in real estate. I used to chase them. Like I remember when I found number 7 and he let me stay at his house. And I went to Arizona and I stayed at his house and I told him I will do whatever you want. Like the at your office, like he wanted me to help him hire. So that's what I did there. And then I remember showing up at one of the top agents in Florida's office. And she's like, man, this crazy Canadian like just showed up here. And like, of course I like, kind of gave a precursor to it. But I was like, whatever you think I'm good at, you can have as much as you want while I'm here. Like I will do whatever you like. I just need to be in a place where I can see what this looks like. I need to see what the top in the world look like. And what I realized is they were all like me. They had all had breaks. They all had something that was broken early on. And that's what they were trying to overcome, but they way overcompensated. Like I know this one guy and he moved here from Europe when he was a teenager. And I could see immediately what it would be like to be an outsider, not speaking the language, having a funny accent, those types of things in that age. That guy can grip people from the internet now, and he is one of the best web marketers in real estate, probably in real estate history. And what it was is he had to break into social circles at the hardest time in our development, that like junior high school age, and now he has it like a force like ability.
I posted a video today and I talked about, because people ask me like, why are you the way that you are? Like, was there like this one moment in time that made me this way? And in this video, I talk about, it wasn't one moment. It was a series of unfortunate events that gave me the destiny of my life. And I think, it's listening to you, Taylor, because, we've spoken many, 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 many times. I've listened to you many times. And I don't think I realized until today how similar the circumstances that we have been through are. and feeling like you're not good enough and that there is no other option and you only can depend on yourself. And if I can see it, I can do it. But I've got to be able to see somebody else doing it, and then I can take it. And for me, I Glendify it. And for you, you Taylor hack it.
Well, Glendifying it sounds like there's a lot of glitter involved.
Or stars.
Excellent.
Or stars. And so, Taylor, okay. So, what is it today that inspires you about real estate?
I think that the thing that inspires me the most about real estate, if I zoom out, is the battle to be won. So when you take a look at like the history of real estate agents, and when you compare that to like other countries that don't have defined real estate, there are places in India where if you want to buy a house, you find this like person that kind of knows everybody, and you talk to them, and then if they like you, they know of 4 people that are probably thinking about moving or around the right age, and then they go and make it happen. Like that's the history of us. Think about people that are in the community that are not just hunting in the community for business, but are also taking care of it, making sure that there's like good experiences going on. Sometimes it even got us in trouble, the way that realtors were trying to participate in communities. But that participation is all small business owners, whether they're plumbers or home inspectors, all the people around us. This is the small business army. And corporations are trying to employ them. Like we're going to see it with Google Home Services, Amazon Home Services, Zillow's expansions. All of these things are basically systems that are using marketing to disrupt the normal flow of traffic to those local people. And it's not in the interest of the locals, right? The reason that your newspaper sucks is because of corporations. The reason that like your little newspaper was amazing when you were a kid and it showed other kids like at baseball games and other things, like you were in the newspaper, that was the part of this that we're losing now. And so for me, I kind of think long live family business, long live the small business, and we should be looking around at each other and inspired by our teammates. Because if we do not resist, this will change forever. This will turn into zero-sum games for communities.
That is so true. So true. So true. And I love it that I had the opportunity to kind of pick your brain. And Taylor, when I said that I could talk to you all day long, do you like understand like Glennda's Guru is like a 25-minute podcast? And I literally just like looked over here at my clock and it's like 11:51 and I'm like, oh no, it can't be 11:51. I must have the numbers backwards. It's probably 11:15 by now. And I'm like, what the hell? And that's the thing. Number one, I want you back. Maybe that's not number one. That's number two. Number two, I want you back. Number one, I want to see you in person and hug your neck. And we have kind of tossed this around in jest about putting something together. But I want us to not be like everybody who says, now, we got to get together for lunch. No, no, no. I want us to look at our calendars. I want us to figure out when we can do an event and really just sit down, chop it up, and just a fireside chat all day long. And let people ask whatever they want and really just spitball, brainstorm, mastermind the greatness. I love talking to you.
And I feel as though that's something that is like so reciprocal. You really help me like bring out a lot of different takes on things. You see things in such an interesting way. I would love to do that. And I will Martha Stewart your Snoop Dogg anytime.
I love it. Oh my God. Taylor Hack is my Snoop Dogg. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. We've got to do that. We have got to do that, Taylor. Now, Taylor, if when they're looking for you, where do they find you? How do they find you?
I hang out on Instagram and TikTok. Taylor the Hack is where you can find me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Taylor, from the bottom of my heart, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you for your time and your talent. I love hanging out with you. I'm walking away so inspired. I cannot get enough done today. And I can't believe that I looked to try and make notes about my own podcast. Like Glennda Baker. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, get out your notebook, get out your pen, because there is some great takeaways in this podcast. As I always say, my name is Glennda Baker. I am a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia. I had the opportunity to sit down today with my friend Taylor Hack out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. What time is it there?
Right now, it's just edging on 10 o'clock.
Oh, so you're only 2 hours behind me.
Yep.
Oh, awesome sauce. Okay. I had the opportunity to be with my friend Taylor Hack. And as I always say, send me a text, tag me in a post, give me a call. That's what I love the most, because I'd love the opportunity to talk real estate with you today. See ya.
See ya.